Hello everyone, this is Ketish here. In this video, I'm going to go through the AQA Biology Paper 1 Higher Tier from 2021. Question number 4 is on the topic of bioenergetics. All living organisms respire. What is the chemical equation for aerobic respiration? Aerobic respiration will be water plus glucose gives you, that would be incorrect because it's water again. Water is also incorrect. Oxygen plus carbon dioxide is incorrect. Oxygen, glucose to give you water and carbon dioxide. There you go. And it's balanced as well. Name the subcellular structures where aerobic respiration takes place. That would be the mitochondria. .3 Energy is released in respiration. Give two uses of the energy released in respiration. So let me give you a couple of examples. For movement, or you could say muscle contraction. Keeping warm. Or you could say for active transport. Or you could say for protein synthesis. Describe two differences between aerobic and anaerobic respiration in humans. Well, anaerobic respiration produces lactic acid. Aerobic does not. You could actually, as a second point, you could say aerobic respiration obviously produces carbon dioxide and water. Anaerobic does not. These two are valid points for the 2 marks. You could also say, actually you can split it up according to the marking scheme. You could say aerobic produces carbon dioxide and aerobic produces water is actually 2 different points. Let me give you a totally different point. Anaerobic produces less energy than aerobic respiration. What are the 2 products of anaerobic respiration in plant cells? In plant cells, it will be carbon dioxide and ethanol. A scientist investigated respiration and photosynthesis using some pondweed and a small pond snail. So you got the pond snail in a test tube with a pondweed attached to a carbon dioxide probe to a data logger. So the apparatus was left in a well-lit room for 5 days. That would mean the pondweed is carrying out aerobic photosynthesis to produce oxygen and glucose. The pond snail is obviously going to carry out aerobic respiration to produce carbon dioxide and water. That carbon dioxide that is produced by the pond snail is actually going to be used by the pondweed during photosynthesis. The later logger recorded the concentration of carbon dioxide continuously. After 5 days, the scientists completely covered the boiling tube with black paper. The data logger continued to record the concentration of carbon dioxide. So at the start, for 5 days, the level of carbon dioxide concentration is actually constant. That would mean the amount of carbon dioxide used is equal to the amount of carbon dioxide produced by the snail. And after 5 days, it slowly increases, because after 5 days, if it's being covered, that means both the pondweed and the snail are respiring. So the concentration is going to increase. Explain why the concentration of carbon dioxide in the tube stayed the same between 0 and 5 days. So as I explained, pondweed takes in CO2 for photosynthesis. The pond snail and the pondweed as well, because if it's not lit by light, it's actually just says well lit room. So it's not lit by artificial lighting. So you could say pond snail and pondweed are respiring to produce carbon dioxide. So these 2 points will actually give the 2 marks, but I'm going to follow this up with a little bit more explanation. The net rate of CO2 taken in is equal to the net rate of CO2 produced. Suggest why the concentration of carbon dioxide increased between day 5 and day 10. No light is available for photosynthesis. So CO2 is not absorbed by the pondweed. So carbon dioxide is being released by both the pond weed and snail by respiration. Hence the level of CO2 increases. On day 10, the snail died. Explain why the death of the pond snail caused the concentration of carbon dioxide to increase after day 10. So after day 10, it actually stabilized for a while, and then on day 10, if the snail died here, the level of carbon dioxide remained the same and then shot up again. That's mainly because of bacteria respiring on the dead snail. So the large increase in bacteria. So snail is being decayed or decomposed by decomposing bacteria. You can call them decomposers in the pond water. Respiration of decomposers releases CO2, and there would be an increase in the amount of bacteria as well. Hence, the amount of carbon dioxide released is also going to increase. That brings us to the end of this question, and I will see you in the next question.